Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 cents for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chain. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait until you're free.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Wanted to make a quick little video and kind of talk about the season that was in 2021. A football team that I think almost brought a lot of us together, a team that we can all be proud of going into the year. You know, the talking heads, the experts were predicting 3 to 4 wins. Some of us in this fan base felt like this team had more potential than that. But this fan base was divided. And I feel like this football team in 2021 kind of brought us all together. We're all on board. It seems like Josh Heupel and Danny White have this thing going in the right direction. What we're going to do, we're going to take a look at the PFF grades for the entire season for this football team. And if you don't know what the PFF grading system is, what they do according to their website is they evaluate every player on every play during a football game. Their website says, we believe that hashtag every play counts. That sounds like something Butch Jones would have said. But regardless, I still like what they do. It says that attention to detail provides insights and data that cannot be found anywhere else. The grading system was founded on the principle of grading production rather than traits or measurables or statistics. But a better way to describe it is contribution to production on any given play. So we're going to take a look and see how Tennessee graded out for 2021. As always, do me a favor, go ahead and smash that like button just below the video. If you'll just press that little thumbs up, helps the channel. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We are fans just like you. If you like the content, go ahead and subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. I want to say thank you again. We just hit 10,000 subscribers this week. We celebrated that with a live stream last night. So thank you to everybody that showed up and showed out. We gave away some free merchandise. You can still enter to win that. If you want to go back and watch last night's stream to find out how you can be entered to win some free Talkin VAWLS merchandise. But let's jump into the article here. This is on RockyTopInsider.com. PFF season grades for Tennessee. Ryan Shumpert put this information together. And again, the reason why I like this because sometimes stats can be deceiving. And when we come on here and we give our opinions and argue with each other and people want to talk about a certain player having X number of tackles or that's a reason why you think this player is playing better than somebody else. Sometimes you got to use the eye test, and the PFF grades kind of play along with that same theme. That's why I like it. But the article here says Tennessee football went 7-5 in Josh Heupel's inaugural season. The Vols went 500 in SEC play, picking up a top 25 win at Kentucky while losing a pair of close games to Pitt and Ole Miss. And I think when we go back and look at 2021. You got to be proud of the effort. You got to be proud of 7 wins in the first year of the Josh Heupel era, but to look and see how close they were in that Pitt game, in that Ole Miss game. And again, we can all go back and talk about how if Hendon Hooker had only been the starter in that Pitt game, I think it would have been a different outcome. I also think if they had played Pitt later in the season, it would have been a different outcome. But this football team really and truly, they had the potential to go 9-3 this year. And I think they are creating momentum. They are creating buzz. There's a positive energy around this football program. People are talking and people are taking notice. You're seeing it on the recruiting trail. I think we're going to see it in the transfer portal. The article here goes on to say, each week we posted Tennessee's players' individual grades in the weekly performance. Now with the regular season over, we take a look at Tennessee's player players' full season grades. It's got the grading chart here. It says if you need a reminder on how it works, but the elite grade 90 to 100, all conference 85 to 89, starter 70 to 84, backup 60 to 69, replaceable 60 or lower. Let's take a look at the offensive grades. It should come as no surprise to anybody. None of us should be shocked by this. Hendon Hooker grades out at 84.9. He played 673 plays on the year. Tyon Evans right behind him at 81.3. But the difference is Tyon Evans, 215 plays. Couldn't stay healthy. Obviously, now we know he's entered the transfer portal, looking elsewhere. Jabari Small, Jalen Wright, you can see them down there below, 75.4, 75.2. I'm excited about the future for Jalen Wright. And I'm not taking away from Jabari Small. You know, we talked all offseason about him and how he did things the right way, put the work in. The kids played banged up all year long. But Jalen Wright's special, and he's young, and I think the future is bright. But I also think that Tennessee's going to look for look to the transfer portal there at the running back position. But a name that really, man, pleases me on this list, and the Indy kid kind of touched on it last night, didn't even know anything about these PFF grades when we were doing the live stream, but talked about the play of Jeremiah Crawford. And when you look here, he only participated in 104 plays, but graded out as the top offensive lineman on the team at 78.8. When you look at Tennessee's depth chart, you know, this offensive line, I know we talk about needing help on it, and Tennessee does need help on the offensive line. They are going to need to go into the portal, especially to add depth. Obviously, you've got Addison Nichols, some other guys coming in as true freshmen, but they need to go get some experienced guys to add depth. But when you look at the starting five, this offensive line has potential to be decent next year. You got Darnell Wright coming back at left tackle. Jerome Carvin just recently announced that he's going to come back for a super senior season at guard. Obviously, your center, Cooper Mays, will be back. Your other guard, Javonte Spraggins. And I wonder if you can plug in Jeremiah Crawford at that other tackle position. Again, man, it kind of surprised me seeing his name up there grading out as the best offensive lineman. You can go through and you can see some of the other grades here. You know, obviously Cedric Tillman, Bayless Jones up there high. Hopefully we'll know Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman and Hendon Hooker made the video yesterday. Crucial to this football program coming back. You can see there Cade Mays grades out at a 73.4. Then you got some other offensive linemen in the mix. Princeton Fant, Jacob Warren, and then here the numbers start to drop off. It's interesting to see Javonte Payton down there at a 57.9, even though we saw his numbers. But a lot of his numbers, interestingly, came on the first series. First series of the game, it's like Javonte Payton would go get his touchdown, and then he would kind of fade off. So I don't know what happened there, why those numbers dropped off. But let's see what Ryan Shumpert had to say about the offensive grades. He says here, these grades really orchestrate the impact Hendon Hooker had on Tennessee's offense. Not only did he separate himself as a good player and UT's best quarterback, but he proved to be the VAWLS' best offensive player. And again, talking about Hendon Hooker and what he means to this program and how he could submit his legacy by returning for another year. He won this fan base over. He brought this fan base together. They were divided, and Hendon Hooker's name wasn't even a part of that divide. It was Joe Milton or Harrison Bailey. Enter Hendon Hooker, all of a sudden this fan base came together. We saw what this offense could be. Goes on to say, oddly, Tennessee had a major gap in its rankings with only one player grading out in the 60s, while 6 players graded out in the 70s and 12 players graded out in the 50s. Goes on to talk about Tyon Evans and the number of snaps that he took. But let's roll down here and take a look at the defense. Tons of concerns on defense. Tons of concerns. And these numbers really should come as no surprise. But when you look at your top 3 guys, Alontae Taylor, Theo Jackson, Matthew Butler, all gone. All heading to the league, heading to the NFL. Those are big shoes to fill. But I can also be encouraged when you go down here and you see the production from a defensive line. Look at the number of defensive linemen grading out in the top 10 for this Tennessee defense. Matthew Butler, Byron Young, Elijah Simmons, Dejon Terry, Tyler Barron, Latrell Bumpus, Amari Thomas. The entire defensive line, 2 deep, is in the top grading, and that's one Rodney Garner. So Walter Nolan, Tyree West, Jeffrey Mba, if you're listening, if you're watching the Talkin' VAWLS Network, if you want to get to the league, if you want to be developed, we're talking about a defensive line that we questioned and we called out back in the spring. We talked about how this defensive line couldn't get penetration. This defensive line couldn't stop the run. One of the best teams in the country at tackles for loss now. Entire defensive line grading out at the top of this defense. The coaching and development done by Rodney Garner does not go unnoticed. He's the best defensive line coach in the country. If you want to get to the league, you come to Tennessee. I'm encouraged by the youth on that defensive line and how they're grading out. Byron Young grading out at 75.6. Elijah Simmons also up there grading out at a 75.3. DeJoun Terry, guy that I was really high on when he entered the transfer portal and came to Tennessee. I feel like he really came along, especially late in the season. Tyler Barron right there in the mix as well. That defensive line, I'm not worried. I don't care who's playing defensive line. They can plug Dauber in at defensive tackle. Rodney Garner is going to develop him and going to get him ready to go on Saturdays. What concerns me is the linebacker position. Look here at the bottom. Aaron Beasley, Jeremy Banks, Solon Page, all three grading out in the low 50s. Of course, Juwan Mitchell, 60.3, only contributed to 106 plays before injury. And that's what Ryan Shumpert says here at the bottom of the article. The most glaring thing here is how poor the middle of Tennessee's defense was. The Vols were bad at linebacker and safety all year, and that showed in their grades. Safety Jalen McCullough and Tennessee's three main linebackers graded out as the three worst Vols on the defensive side. You've got to get that fixed. You got to get it fixed in a hurry, and you got to do it through the transfer portal. But also at the safety position, you got to hope at some point that Christian Charles and Tamarian McDonald start to come on and take over those safety positions. So it'll be interesting to follow their development throughout the offseason. But then also Tennessee has got to hit the portal. They got to hit it hard at the linebacker position and at the safety position. Leave me your comments. Let me know your thoughts. Are you surprised by any of those grades, or does it pretty much go exactly where you thought it would? Make sure you do hit that thumbs up on the way out the door. Again, I want to remind you, 10,000 subscriber celebration last night. If you want to get in on that merchandise, go listen to the stream from last night. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate you guys showing up week in and week out, making this channel what it is. Can't say thank you enough. But that is going to wrap it up. This is the Talkin' VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
The songs how like me, oh, it's